Hello everybody, this is Dr. Rob Lindsay at Vallejo Health and Wellness Center, and right now in our world there's a lot of stress. Okay, we're seeing it in our patients, you're seeing it in your family, you're seeing it in our government, you're seeing it all around us. People are stressed out. People want to know, what can I do about it? They're dealing with this virus, okay? They're dealing with all kinds of stress. They're home now. And so we wanted to take a couple of minutes and explain what this stress response is about and some things that you can do to help yourself better adapt to stress. So the first thing is I want you to understand the stress response. Now here's the thing. Stress comes in lots of forms. We often think about stress from, we're anxious about something. We're worried about money, let's say. And that's certainly a stressor. Or we've got marital problems, or our kids are screaming. But stress can be physical as well. Physical stress would be like if you have a job that requires you to sit at a computer and you've got poor posture all day long from typing, or you have a very active job where you're in construction. You're using your body for a lot of maybe heavy labor. Okay, that can be physical. Of course. We have chemical stresses in our environment. The foods we eat, they have toxins on them. Herbicides and pesticides come into our body, they cause stress. You've got heavy metals from silver fillings in your teeth, or it could be in the water you drink. I just had a person that I was testing and we found arsenic in their bottled water that they're drinking that they thought was safe. Okay, so we've got pathogens that can come in here. That can cause stress on our body, like a bacteria, or like a virus, or a parasite, or a person who's got mold. Of course, we have emotional stress, as I mentioned earlier, and we have spiritual stress. We live in a spiritual world. Okay, there are things going on around us that can cause stress, and we can't see it. So, I want to talk a little bit about this whole stress response with you, and I want to give you just a little analogy. Now, let's say that I'm walking down the street and I step off the curb and I'm just trying to cross the street. I step off the curb and I look up and I'm about to get hit by a bus. All right? Well, in that moment, my life is at risk. I get it. This is an extreme example. But your body doesn't know the difference between about to get hit by a bus and a marital conflict or financial worries or sitting with poor posture. They all cause the same kinds of reactions. But in this case, I step off, I see the bus, my nervous system recognizes the danger and immediately causes my adrenal glands, which are tiny little glands that sit right on top of your kidneys. They're about the size of an acorn, but they're powerful. And they release two main hormones, okay? One of them is called adrenaline, and one of them is called cortisol. Now, adrenaline is actually a neurotransmitter as well, but we're going to lump it in here, and your body releases these two things. Now, why would it do that? Well, here are some of the responses. First of all, it's going to cause my heart rate to increase. Why? Because the faster my heart beats, the more blood I can pump through my system. It's also going to cause an increase in blood pressure. Same reason. We want our blood pressure and our heart rate to increase to carry more blood around to the organs that are going to help me escape. It's going to cause an increase in my breathing rate. I'm going to breathe more and breathe faster because I need oxygen to get into my bloodstream, and it needs to get circulated fast, which is why my heart rate goes up, because I need oxygen to go to my brain to help me scout out a escape route, and it needs to go to my muscles so it can fuel my muscles to pump faster and harder to get me out of the way of that bus. It's also going to cause me to become very hyper-focused on an escape route. I'm not going to be watching any other things at that moment. And blood is going to get shunted from my digestive system into my muscles because, my goodness, who cares about digesting my lunch if I'm about to get hit by a bus? I don't need to do that. These are all normal. They're all the correct and right physiologic response to me about to get hit by a bus. So here's what happens. I step off, I see it, all these things happen. Instantaneously, I jump back out of the way, the bus passes. Whew. Saved. And for a couple minutes, my responses are still there. I'm breathing fast, my heart rate's up, I could take my pulse and it'd be racing. But over time, it should calm down. It should slowly return back to normal. So that's what happens in a stress response. That's ideal. But here's the problem. In America, we are stressed out right now, guys. And when we are under chronic states of stress, when the stressors are never leaving us, these two amazing hormones are released over and over and over. They don't get a break. And here's what can happen. First of all, adrenaline, while it helps you to increase your heart rate, if you leave it in your system long enough, I want to show you something here. Imagine that this wire, see this wire right here? It's got actually a protective coating of rubber. The wire is inside there. And if we imagine that this is like a nerve, if I had sandpaper, and I took sandpaper and I went back and forth and back and forth, and I kept doing this on this wire, over time I'm going to wear down the covering of this, and I'm going to have the bare wire exposed. That's what happens over time to the nerves in your body. And so adrenaline that's released over and over and over leads to chronic pain. Those nerves are hyperstimulated. And cortisol, if it's released over and over and over, it actually causes your immune system to be depressed. It decreases your immune function. And people will start to notice that they're fatigued, they're tired all the time, their energy is not there. Doc, I'm falling asleep in the afternoon, I can't seem to wake up. Their memory, the cortisol tends to accumulate in part of the brain called the hippocampus, and over time it interferes with our memory. People will say, Doc, I forgot where I put my keys. I walk out of Walmart and I forget where I parked my car. People get depressed, they get anxious, they can't sleep well. Cortisol that's released over and over and over won't allow you to sleep because cortisol should be lowest right before bed and highest in the morning. But instead people have cortisol being released all day long and it's high at night. No wonder you can't go to sleep. Poor concentration and focus. I'm at my job. I can't focus for more than a couple minutes. I got to get up and move around. Cortisol. Okay? Over time, it affects blood sugar control. It leads to diabetes. It leads to high blood pressure. So these two things, while they're amazing and we need them, when they're released too much, too often, that's a problem. So here's the question everyone has, well, what kind of supplements, what can I do to take to support the stress response? Well, what you can do is you can take something called adaptogenic herbs. And adaptogenic herbs are plant compounds, and I like to say that they help you adapt to stress. Okay? They normalize what's called the HPA axis. That's the hypothalamic, pituitary, adrenal axis. Those three glands are working together to help you withstand the stress response. So adaptogenic herbs can help. There's another compound called phosphatidylserine, which helps with the communication between each of your cells and involved with the brain pathways that help you handle stress. B vitamins, oh my goodness, this is one of my all-time favorites, is to make sure somebody's taking good quality multi-B vitamin because it provides the cofactors that you need for your immune system to work good, for DNA repair to occur, for making neurotransmitters, for a whole bunch of other responses. And then there's something called GABA. GABA is a neurotransmitter. It is what we call an inhibitory neurotransmitter, which means it's calming. And we don't typically give people just GABA. We would give them something called GABA precursors. They're the enzymes and cofactors and vitamins that are involved in helping you utilize the GABA you already have in your system. So some of the supplements that we're recommending right now, and actually we're having a sale on these to help people, are what's called Adaptogen R3, Adaptocrin, Adrenaven, Max B, and Gabatone. And some of the basics about these are that we're generally recommending that if a person is just looking for some general light support, they would take what's called Adrenaven and Max B together. Okay, that's just a great basic support for the stress response in your body. If you want to up your game and you want to have even more, like you've got more stress and you want to add a little bit more, I would take those first two products and add them to something called adaptogen, R3 is what it's called, or something called adaptocrin. And then if you want maximum support, you take all the things I just listed plus what's called gabatone, and you bring all those together, and you've got a really good ultimate system and supplements that can help you adapt to the stresses that are going on right now in our world. Look, over time, we need to do other things as well. You need to be exercising. You need to be getting enough sleep. You need to be doing things to help calm yourself, like praying, meditating on God's Word, getting outside in the sun, having healthy relationships, eating a good diet. Okay, these things are all really important. But if you want help right now through supplements, this is going to be a great thing for you to do. Lastly, people always ask about dosing. Oh, how much should I take, Doc? Well, we're going to have a link that describes that below this video that tells you how to dose these things. And we are having a great sale on these right now to help you and your family adapt to the stresses due to everything that's going on in our world right now. Thanks a lot for listening, and I hope you have a great day, a blessed day, and God bless you.